I was checking my credit card statement online when my heart stopped. $45,000 in unauthorized charges. My hands trembled as I scrolled through luxury jewelry purchases and first-class plane tickets to Hawaii. I knew immediately who did it. Amanda, my daughter-in-law, had access to my wallet last Sunday during family dinner. She asked to borrow my phone charger and went into my study alone. The charges all posted Monday morning. My hands shook with rage and disbelief. I stared at the computer screen, my reading glasses sliding down my nose as I examined each charge more carefully. 5 separate jewelry purchases from high-end stores downtown. Diamond earrings, $3,000. A gold bracelet, $7,800. A designer necklace, $12,000. The list went on. Then came 2 first-class round-trip tickets to Maui, nearly $9,000 each. A luxury hotel reservation for 10 days, another $6,000. Spa packages, private beach cabanas, sunset dinner cruises. She had spared no expense with my money. My fingers fumbled with the phone as I called the credit card company. The automated system frustrated me until I finally reached a real person. "Yes, sir. Those charges are all legitimate," the customer service representative said. The card was physically present for each transaction, and the correct PIN was entered. That detail made my stomach turn. Amanda must have watched me enter my PIN at some point, or maybe she found where I had written it down in my desk drawer. I had always been too trusting, too careless about those things. I am a retired postal worker, 67 years old, living alone in the same house my wife Sarah and I bought 38 years ago. Sarah passed 3 years back from cancer, and since then, the house feels too big, too quiet. My son Marcus and his family became my whole world after that. I poured everything into being a good father and grandfather, maybe too much. Marcus is 35 now, works in real estate, does well enough but not spectacularly. He married Amanda 4 years ago after a whirlwind romance. She was pretty, charming, always knew the right things to say. I had my doubts early on. Something about the way she looked at expensive things in store windows, the way she talked about Marcus's clients' homes with a hunger in her voice. But Marcus was happy, and I kept my mouth shut. I had been generous with them over the years. When they bought their first house, I helped with $20,000 for the down payment. Every week, I babysit their twin daughters, Emma and Grace, age 3. Those little girls are the light of my life, with their gap-toothed smiles and endless questions. I would do anything for them. But I never imagined Amanda would steal from me. I noticed her materialistic tendencies, the way she was always shopping online, always talking about what her friends had that she wanted. Marcus sometimes looked stressed when she brought home shopping bags. Still, theft? From family? That was a line I never thought anyone would cross. My phone buzzed on the kitchen table, a text message. From Amanda. I picked it up with shaking hands and read it. Multiple photos attached. Amanda wearing glittering jewelry, posing on a beach with a sunset behind her, holding a cocktail with a tiny umbrella. Then the message, "Love the gifts, father-in-law, you're too generous. Marcus and I needed this vacation. Girls are with my mom. Thank you so much." My blood pressure spiked so fast, I felt dizzy. She was pretending I had given her permission. Pretending this was all some generous gift from a doting father-in-law. I immediately called Marcus. The phone rang 5 times before going to voicemail. "Marcus, call me right now. This is urgent. Your wife stole my credit card and charged $45,000. Call me back immediately." I tried 3 more times. Voicemail every time. I grabbed my car keys and drove to their house, a nice 2-story colonial about 20 minutes away in the suburbs. My old truck rattled as I pushed it faster than usual. When I arrived, both their cars were gone. The driveway was empty. The house looked dark. I sat in my truck in their driveway for 3 hours, watching the sun set, watching neighbors come home from work, watching the streetlights flicker on. Nobody came home. Finally, at 8:30 that evening, my phone rang. "Marcus." "Dad, what's going on?" "I got your messages." His voice sounded relaxed, happy even. Background noise suggested he was at a restaurant or bar. "Your wife stole my credit card and spent $45,000, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I need you both to come home right now. We need to fix this." Silence on the other end. Then Marcus laughed. Actually laughed. "Dad, what are you talking about?" "Amanda showed me the text messages you sent. You offered to treat us to a vacation and some jewelry as an early anniversary gift. You said we deserved it after working so hard. My chest tightened. I sent no such messages. Dad, she showed them to me. I saw them with my own eyes. Your number, your words. You told her to pick out whatever she wanted and to book a nice trip. Don't you remember? Marcus, I never sent any messages like that. She fabricated them somehow. She stole my card out of my wallet last Sunday when she was alone in my study. Another long silence. When Marcus spoke again, his tone had changed completely, defensive and cold. Dad, you're getting older. Maybe you forgot you offered this. Amanda showed me screenshots of your texts. They're right there in her phone. Maybe you're confused, or maybe you're having second thoughts about being generous, but you can't just back out now. We already used everything. I did not give her permission. She is lying to you. Dad, stop. You're embarrassing yourself. Amanda's upset now. She heard you yelling. She thinks you're calling her a thief. She is a thief. Marcus's voice got hard, colder than I had ever heard him speak to me. We're going to have to take a break from family contact if you keep this up. I'm not going to let you attack my wife with false accusations. Get some rest, Dad. We'll talk when you're calmer. He hung up. I sat there in their driveway, phone in my hand, feeling like my world had just collapsed. My own son did not believe me. Amanda had somehow faked text messages from me, and Marcus believed them over his own father. The next 2 days were torture. I called Marcus repeatedly. Every call went to voicemail. I drove to their house twice more. No one answered the door, though I could see movement inside through the windows. They were avoiding me. I sent emails, text messages, detailed explanations about how Amanda must have used some kind of app or software to fake those messages. I explained about the credit card theft, the timeline, everything. No response. Wednesday evening, my phone finally buzzed with a text from Marcus. Dad, Amanda is really upset. She thinks you're calling her a thief. She's been crying for 2 days. She showed me proof you offered this gift. The text messages are real. I saw them myself. Stop harassing us, or we'll have to take a break from family contact. We need space from this negativity. My hands shook as I typed back. Those messages are fake. She made them somehow. Please believe me. No response. That night I barely slept. I kept thinking about my granddaughters, about how Amanda was using them as leverage, keeping them away from me. The thought of not seeing Emma and Grace was unbearable. Thursday morning, I drove to the police station. The building was brick and concrete, intimidating. Inside, fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as I waited 40 minutes to speak with an officer. Officer Danny Patterson took my report. He was maybe 40, looked tired, had coffee stains on his uniform shirt. He listened patiently as I explained everything, took notes, had me sign paperwork. Mr. Leroy, I understand your frustration, he said when I finished. But here's the reality. Your daughter-in-law is family. She had access to your home. She claims you gave permission, and she has text messages that appear to show that permission. This becomes a civil matter, not criminal. It's your word against hers. But I never sent those texts. She faked them. That may be true, but proving it is difficult. Even if we could prove the texts are fake, she could claim someone else sent them, or that it was a misunderstanding. The fact that she's family makes prosecution very unlikely. My advice? Take her to small claims court, or try family mediation. I left the police station feeling defeated. The legal system was not going to help me, at least not quickly. Friday afternoon, a courier delivered a thick envelope to my door. Inside was a letter from a law firm downtown, Clayton and Associates. The letter was addressed to me and signed by Amanda's and Marcus's attorney. It was a cease and desist order. The letter demanded I stop all harassment and defamatory statements against Amanda. It claimed I was making false and malicious accusations that were causing her severe emotional distress. If I did not stop immediately, they would seek a restraining order. But the worst part came in the second paragraph. The letter stated that I was showing signs of cognitive decline and memory impairment, and that my irrational accusations and increasingly erratic behavior were concerning to the family. It suggested I undergo a thorough cognitive and psychological evaluation for my own well-being. I read it 3 times, each time feeling sicker. They were not just denying the theft, they were claiming I was losing my mind. Saturday morning, I woke to my phone ringing off the hook. My sister Janet called first. "Leroy, I just saw Amanda's Facebook post. Are you okay? Do you need help?" "What Facebook post?" "Oh no, you haven't seen it. Hold on, I'll read it to you." Janet's voice got shaky as she read Amanda's post aloud. It was long, emotional, carefully worded. Amanda wrote about the heartbreak of watching a loved one's cognitive decline and the pain of being falsely accused by someone you love who is no longer themselves. She talked about the difficulty of aging parents who make hurtful accusations and how mental illness doesn't discriminate. She never named me directly, but she included enough details that anyone who knew our family would know exactly who she meant. She described the generous gift she thought I had given, the confusion when I later denied it, and her concern for my mental health. She positioned herself as a caring, worried daughter-in-law trying to help an aging, confused man. The post had 73 comments, all sympathetic to her. "You poor thing, dealing with this must be so hard. My mother-in-law went through the same thing. It's devastating. You're so strong for sharing this." Over the next hour, I received 6 more calls from relatives and friends, all asking if I was okay, if I needed help, if I had seen a doctor lately. My reputation was being destroyed in real time. My cousin Barbara called. "Leroy, honey, there's no shame in memory problems. Let me help you find a good doctor." My old friend from the post office, Raymond, called. "Buddy, I'm worried about you. Amanda says you've been acting strange. Maybe you should get checked out." Even Janet, my own sister, said gently, "Maybe it wouldn't hurt to see someone, just to rule things out. You've been alone since Sarah died." Sometimes grief affects us in ways we don't realize. By the end of the day, I felt completely alone. Everyone believed Amanda. No one believed me. And worse, they all thought I was losing my mind. I spent the weekend in a fog, calling family members one by one, trying to explain the truth. Some listened politely but skeptically. Most cut me off, saying they did not want to get involved in family drama. My sister suggested maybe I should just get the evaluation to put everyone's mind at ease. "I don't need an evaluation. I'm perfectly fine," I shouted into the phone. "Then why not just do it? Prove her wrong," Janet said reasonably. But I knew what was happening. If I submitted to an evaluation, it gave credibility to their claims that something was wrong with me. But if I refused, I looked like I was hiding something. Amanda had trapped me perfectly. Monday morning, I was making coffee when my phone rang. "My bank?" "Mr. Leroy. This is Sandra from First National Bank Fraud Department. We need to speak with you immediately about suspicious activity on your savings account." My stomach dropped. "What kind of activity?" "Someone attempted to add themselves as a joint account holder on your savings account. The request came with documentation that appeared to have your signature. We flagged it as suspicious because you've never made this type of request before, and the signature looked inconsistent with our records." "Who tried to add themselves?" "And Amanda Leroy. Says she's your daughter-in-law." I nearly dropped the phone. "That signature is forged. I never authorized anything." "We suspected as much. We've already denied the request and filed a fraud report with the authorities. But sir, you need to come in immediately to secure your accounts." I was at the bank within 30 minutes. Sandra was a professional woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. She showed me the paperwork Amanda had submitted. The signature looked similar to mine but was slightly off. Amanda had traced my signature from something, probably a birthday card or check I had given them. My savings account held $68,000, my entire life savings, plus Sarah's life insurance money. Amanda had tried to put her name on it. "If we hadn't caught this, she would have had full access to withdraw everything," Sandra explained. "Joint account holders have complete access." I felt sick. This was not just about the $45,000 anymore. Amanda was going after everything. Sandra helped me move all my money to new accounts at a different bank across town. We set up maximum security protocols, new passwords, security questions with answers only I would know, alerts for every transaction. I spent 3 hours at that bank, locking down everything. When I got home, I changed all my online passwords, my email, everything. I felt paranoid but knew I had to be. Tuesday morning, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find a woman in business casual clothing holding an official-looking folder. "Mr. Leroy? I'm Stephanie Morrison from Adult Protective Services. May I come in?" My blood ran cold. "What is this about?" "We received a report of concern about your welfare." Someone filed a report stating that you're a vulnerable adult showing signs of dementia, living alone, making poor financial decisions, and becoming paranoid and possibly a danger to yourself. I'm required to investigate." Amanda had escalated again. I let Stephanie in, made her coffee, and spent the next hour answering her questions. She was professional, kind even, but thorough. She asked about my daily routines, my medications — I only took blood pressure medication — my finances, my social connections. She asked about the accusations I had made against Amanda. I showed her everything: the credit card statements, the bank's fraud report, the forged signature paperwork, the timeline of events. I explained calmly and logically. Stephanie took notes, nodded, asked follow-up questions. Finally, she said, "Mr. Leroy, you seem completely coherent and competent to me. Your home is clean and well-maintained. You're articulate and organized. However, I have to complete a full investigation per protocol. I'll need to speak with your family members and your doctor." "My doctor will tell you I'm fine. I just had my annual physical last month." "That's good. I'll request those records. In the meantime, is there anything you need? Any services that would help you?" "I just need my family to stop lying about me." Stephanie gave me a sympathetic look. "I understand this is difficult. I'll complete my investigation as quickly as possible." After she left, I sat on my couch feeling violated. Amanda had weaponized the social services system against me. Wednesday afternoon, Marcus called. His voice was ice cold. "Dad, Amanda's lawyer says you tried to frame her for bank fraud. You went to her bank and made false accusations. This has to stop. She tried to forge my signature to steal my life savings." "That's not what happened. Amanda was trying to help you manage your finances because you're becoming confused. She was trying to protect you from yourself. And you repaid her kindness by making more false accusations." I could not believe what I was hearing. "Marcus, she is lying to you. How can you not see that? How can you not see that you're sick? Dad, you need help. We want you to get evaluated. If you won't do it voluntarily, we're prepared to take legal action." "Legal action? What does that mean?" "It means we're trying to protect you whether you like it or not. Talk to you later." He hung up. That evening, another courier arrived, more legal documents. I opened them with shaking hands. It was a petition for emergency guardianship. Marcus and Amanda had filed paperwork with the county court asking to be appointed as my legal guardians. The petition claimed I was mentally incompetent and a danger to myself financially. It cited the credit card dispute, the bank incident, my paranoid delusions, and my refusal to seek help. The court hearing was scheduled for the following Monday, 1 week away. I read through the document in horror. If they won, they would control everything: my money, my property, my medical decisions, where I lived. I would lose my independence, my freedom, my entire life. I finally understood Amanda's plan. It was brilliant in its cruelty. Steal the money. When the victim objects, make them look crazy. Use their objections as proof of their insanity. Then take legal control of everything they own through guardianship. She would not just steal $45,000. She would take everything, legally. I sat in my living room as darkness fell, too shocked to even turn on the lights. This was not just theft anymore. This was a sophisticated con, and I was losing. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Amanda's smiling face, imagined her spending my life savings, pictured myself in some facility somewhere, stripped of my rights while she controlled everything. Thursday morning, I looked up elder law attorneys in the phone book. I called 6 offices before I found one who could see me immediately. Harold Brennan, age 58, with an office in a converted house near downtown. His assistant squeezed me in at 2 o'clock. Harold had gray hair, sharp blue eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses, and a firm handshake. His office walls were covered with certificates and photos with judges. He listened to my entire story without interrupting, taking notes on a yellow legal pad. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair and sighed. "Mr. Leroy, I'm going to be honest with you. What you're describing is a growing scam. Family members commit financial abuse. Then when the victim objects, they claim the victim is incompetent. It's insidious because the victim's justified anger and distress get used as evidence of their supposed mental illness. Can we beat this?" "Yes, but we need to move fast. The hearing is Monday. That gives us 4 days. First, We're going to get you an independent cognitive evaluation from a neuropsychologist I work with. That will establish your competency beyond question. Second, I'm going to subpoena phone records for both you and Amanda to prove those text messages were fabricated. Third, we need to gather every piece of evidence showing Amanda's pattern of deception. Will that be enough? It should be. But judges see a lot of these cases, and sometimes they err on the side of caution, especially with elderly individuals. We need to make our case ironclad. Harold charged me $5,000 up front. It hurt to write that check, but I had no choice. He immediately started making calls. By the time I left his office an hour later, I had an appointment with a neuropsychologist the next morning at 8. Friday morning, I sat in Dr. Patricia Holbrook's office for 3 hours, undergoing cognitive testing, memory tests, reasoning problems, puzzles, word associations, math calculations. She tested my ability to remember lists, to solve problems, to make judgments. It was exhausting, but I knew it was necessary. "Mr. Leroy, you can relax," Dr. Holbrook said when we finished. "Your cognitive function is excellent, better than most people your age. No signs of dementia, no memory impairment, no confusion. I'll have my report to your attorney by this evening." I felt relief wash over me. At least I had proof I was not crazy. Harold called me that afternoon. "Good news on the cognitive test. Now we wait for the phone records. In the meantime, I need you to do some investigating." "What kind of investigating?" "Go to those jewelry stores where Amanda made purchases. Talk to the sales associates. See if anyone remembers her, what she said, how she acted. We need to establish her state of mind, prove she knew exactly what she was doing." I spent Friday afternoon and Saturday morning visiting jewelry stores downtown. The first two had no record of the transactions or could not help me. The third store, an upscale place called Prestige Jewelers, was different. A young woman named Courtney was working the counter. When I described Amanda and showed her the credit card statement with the date and time, her eyes lit up. "Oh yeah, I remember her." She was so excited about everything. Tried on like 20 different pieces. Kept saying she deserved this, that she had been planning it for months. Did she say anything else? Courtney glanced around, then leaned in conspiratorially. "Between you and me, she was kind of rude, very demanding. Talked about how her father-in-law was loaded and she was finally getting what she was owed. Can I see security footage from that day? I can't show you without manager approval, but I can mention it to my manager." I left my number. Harold later sent a formal legal request to the store for the footage. I called Amanda's mother, Diane, a pleasant woman in her 60s who had always been kind to me. She answered cautiously. "Leroy, how are you? Amanda told me you've been having some problems. I'm worried about you." "Diane, I need to ask you something. Are Emma and Grace with you right now?" "The girls?" "No, why would they be with me?" "Amanda said they were with you while she and Marcus went to Hawaii." "Oh, they were here for a few days last week, Monday through Wednesday, but Amanda picked them up Wednesday evening." "Why?" My mind raced. "When did she pick them up?" "Wednesday, around 6. Said their trip got cut short." "Why are you asking?" "No reason. Just checking on the girls." "Thanks, Diane." After I hung up, I looked at the credit card statement again. The hotel reservation was for 10 days. The plane tickets were for a 10-day trip, but Amanda only left the kids with Diane for 3 days. I called the hotel in Maui, the Grand Pacific Resort. After 20 minutes of being transferred between departments, I reached a supervisor named Michael. "Yes, sir, I see the reservation. It was made for 10 nights but canceled 3 days later. Full refund processed." "Refund to what account?" "It went to a refund debit card, different from the original payment method. That's actually quite common when people cancel." My hands were shaking as I called the airline next. After explaining I was the cardholder and giving them my information, a supervisor named Lisa pulled up the ticket information. "Yes, sir, 2 first-class tickets to Maui, purchased on this date, but they were refunded 4 days later. Total refund of $4,800, processed to a debit card ending in 7732. They never flew?" "No, sir. Tickets were never used." I hung up and just sat there. Amanda never went to Hawaii. She booked refundable tickets and a refundable hotel, then canceled everything and kept the refund money. She bought all that jewelry and pocketed the vacation refunds. The beach photos she sent were fake, probably from old social media posts or borrowed from friends. The theft was even bigger than I thought. She had committed credit card fraud, wire fraud, identity theft, and theft by deception. But proving all this in 4 days seemed impossible. Saturday evening, Harold called with an update. "I've got the phone metadata from the carrier. The texts Amanda showed Marcus? They came from a text spoofing service, not from your actual phone number. We can prove they're fake. Will that be enough?" "It's a good start. Keep digging. We need everything we can get." Sunday, I went to church for the first time in months. I prayed for strength, for justice, for my family. The service about forgiveness felt ironic under the circumstances. Monday morning, I put on my best suit, the navy one I had worn to Sarah's funeral. Harold met me at the courthouse at 8:30. The building was imposing granite and marble, with high ceilings and echoing hallways. "Are we ready?" I asked. "As ready as we can be," Harold said. "Remember, stay calm, answer questions directly. Don't let them bait you into anger. You need to appear rational and collected." We waited outside the courtroom for 20 minutes. Then I saw them, Marcus and Amanda, walking down the hall with their attorney, a sharp-looking woman in an expensive suit carrying a leather briefcase. Amanda looked completely different from the flashy woman in those beach photos. Today she wore a modest navy dress, minimal makeup, small pearl earrings. Her hair was pulled back in a simple bun. She looked like a concerned, conservative daughter-in-law worried about her aging father-in-law. Marcus still would not look at me. His face was drawn, tired. Part of me still hoped he would see reason, but that hope was fading. Their attorney, a woman who introduced herself as Patricia Nelson, shook Harold's hand coolly. We all filed into the courtroom. The courtroom was smaller than I expected, wood-paneled walls and fluorescent lighting that gave everything a harsh, clinical feel. The judge's bench sat elevated at the front, and rows of benches filled the space behind the attorney's tables. A court reporter sat near the judge's bench, fingers poised over her machine. Judge Ellen Winters entered through a side door, a woman in her 50s with steel-gray hair and an expression that suggested she had heard every story and believed none of them until proven. We all stood as she took her seat. "Be seated. Case number 47298, Petition for Emergency Guardianship. Counsel, your opening statements." Patricia Nelson stood, smoothing her skirt. "Your Honor, this is a heartbreaking situation. Marcus Leroy and his wife Amanda come before you today out of love and deep concern for Marcus's father, Leroy Brennan Sr. She gestured toward me. "Mr. Brennan is 67 years old, has been widowed for 3 years, and lives alone. Over the past several weeks, he has exhibited increasingly erratic and concerning behavior." She went on for 10 minutes, painting a picture of a confused old man making wild accusations against his loving daughter-in-law, filing false police reports, becoming paranoid and hostile. She referenced the Adult Protective Services investigation, the bank incident, my refusal to seek help. "The petitioners don't want to do this," Patricia said, her voice dripping with false sympathy, "but they have no choice. Mr. Brennan is at risk of being financially exploited by strangers precisely because his judgment is so impaired. He needs protection, whether he recognizes it or not." When she sat down, Harold stood. He was calm, methodical, laying out the facts. The credit card theft, the forged bank documents, Amanda's pattern of deception, the fake text messages. "Your Honor, this is not a case of an elderly man losing his faculties. This is a case of financial exploitation, followed by a calculated attempt to silence the victim by claiming he's incompetent. Mr. X. End of Locks Pressen. Brennan's only crime is being trusting and generous with his family." Judge Winters looked at both attorneys. "Call your first witness." Patricia called Amanda to the stand. I watched as she walked up, placed her hand on the Bible, swore to tell the truth. The irony burned. Patricia led her through a carefully rehearsed testimony. Amanda described our close relationship, how she loved me like her own father, how concerned she was about my behavior. "Can you describe the incident with the credit card?" Patricia asked. Amanda's eyes filled with tears on cue. It was so confusing. "Leroy sent me text messages saying he wanted to treat Marcus and me to an anniversary gift. He said we worked so hard and deserved something special. He told me to buy some jewelry and book a vacation. I was so touched by his generosity. Do you have these text messages?" "Yes." Amanda pulled out her phone, and the messages were entered into evidence, projected on a screen. They looked real, Timestamps and everything. Messages from my phone number saying exactly what she claimed. What happened when you used the credit card? Patricia continued. I did exactly what he said. I bought some jewelry and booked a trip. But then a few days later, he called Marcus furious, saying I had stolen his card. I was so confused and hurt. I showed Marcus the texts, tried to explain, but Leroy kept insisting I had made it all up. How did that make you feel? Amanda wiped her eyes. Heartbroken. Scared. I love my father-in-law. Watching him forget entire conversations, make these accusations, it made me realize something was really wrong. I tried to be understanding, but he just got angrier. Tell the court about the bank incident. I was trying to help him manage his finances because I was worried he might be scammed by someone. I offered to help keep track of his accounts, but he went to the bank and accused me of trying to steal from him. It was mortifying. I was only trying to help. Patricia paused for effect. Are you afraid of Mr. Brennan? Yes, Amanda whispered. He's become so aggressive in his accusations. I worry what he might do. When Harold cross-examined her, he was sharp. Mrs. Leroy, you stated these text messages came from Mr. Brennan's phone number. Did you ever speak to him directly about this gift? A phone call? A face-to-face conversation? Amanda hesitated. The texts were clear. I didn't think I needed to. So the answer is, no. You never confirmed verbally? The texts were from his number. We'll return to that. You stated you used his credit card based on these messages. Where did you get the physical card? He must have left it at our house during a visit. Must have? You're not certain? He visited the Sunday before. He must have left it then. And his PIN number? The bank confirmed the correct PIN was used. How did you know it? He must have told me at some point. Must have. Or did you watch him enter it? Or perhaps find it written down? I don't remember exactly. Maybe he mentioned it. Harold pulled out documents. Mrs. Leroy, were you aware this credit card was reported lost by Mr. Brennan 2 months before you used it? Amanda's face went pale. What? No. That can't be right. Bank records show it was reported lost in March. The card company sent Mr. Brennan a replacement, but he kept the old card, meaning to destroy it. That's the card you used. So it could not have been left at your house during a recent visit because it was not in his current wallet. How did you really get it? I don't know. I must be confused about the timing. Harold pressed. The truth is you took it from his study when you were alone there on Sunday, correct? No, he gave it to me through those texts. Marcus was called next. He looked miserable on the stand, kept glancing at Amanda. His testimony echoed hers. He believed the text messages were real because he had seen them. He was worried about my mental state. He loved me but felt he had no choice. Harold's cross-examination was gentler with Marcus, but still pointed. Mr. Leroy, did your father ever, in your entire life, give expensive gifts without discussing them first? Marcus paused. Not usually, but did he ever text about large financial matters rather than calling or speaking face-to-face? Well, no, but he's getting older. Has your father ever been diagnosed with any cognitive impairment, dementia, or memory issues? No, but when your father called you upset about the credit card charges, did you consider that he might be telling the truth? Marcus's voice got quiet. Amanda showed me the texts. They looked real. Did you ask to see your father's phone to verify? No. Did you speak to the credit card company yourself? No. You simply took your wife's word over your father's? Marcus looked down. Yes. Patricia called 2 of Amanda's friends as character witnesses. They testified about Amanda's kindness, her dedication to family, her concern for me. It was all very polished, clearly coached. When it was Harold's turn, he called me to the stand. I walked up, took the oath, sat down. My hands were sweating, but I kept them folded calmly in my lap. Harold walked me through everything. The credit card discovery, the fake texts, the bank fraud attempt, the social media campaign, the Adult Protective Services report. I spoke clearly, calmly, sticking to facts. Patricia's cross-examination was brutal. Mr. Brennan, isn't it true you have no proof these text messages are fake? My attorney has obtained evidence. Answer the question. Do you personally have proof? I know I never sent them. But your memory could be mistaken, correct? Isn't it possible you offered this gift and forgot? No. You're absolutely certain? Your memory is infallible? I am certain of this. You've been under significant stress since your wife died, correct? Yes, but you live alone. You've been isolated. Grief affects memory and judgment, doesn't it? I am not confused. You filed a police report against your own daughter-in-law. You went to her bank making accusations. You've made her life miserable over what she believed was a generous gift from you. Doesn't that seem extreme? She stole from me. Or you forgot you authorized it, and now, rather than admit a mistake, you're doubling down on false accusations. I took a breath, steadied myself. I did not authorize anything. She is a thief and a liar. Harold then presented the neuropsychological evaluation. Dr. Holbrook had prepared a detailed report showing my cognitive function was excellent. Harold entered it into evidence, summarized the findings. But Patricia objected. Your Honor, these tests only show current competency, not whether Mr. Brennan was competent weeks ago when he made these accusations. They don't prove his memory is accurate. They don't prove he didn't authorize these purchases and then forget. Judge Winters called a recess to review the evidence. We filed out of the courtroom. Harold pulled me aside in the hallway. How do you think it's going? I asked. Hard to say. The judge is listening, but Patricia is making this about your memory and judgment, not Amanda's actions. We need something more. What else do we have? Harold checked his watch. The phone records. The digital forensics. That's our best shot. After 30 minutes, we were called back in. Judge Winters looked tired. Mr. Brennan, call your next witness. Harold stood. Your Honor, I called Thomas Wright, forensic digital analyst. A thin man in his 40s came forward, was sworn in. He worked for a private investigation firm specialized in digital forensics. Harold led him through his credentials, then asked, Mr. Wright, were you asked to examine text message data in this case? Yes. I was provided with phone records from the cellular carrier for both Mr. Brennan's number and Mrs. Amanda Leroy's number. What did you discover? The text messages Mrs. Leroy showed her husband, purporting to be from Mr. Brennan's number, did not actually come from Mr. Brennan's phone. They were sent using a text spoofing service. The courtroom went silent. Amanda's face drained of color. Can you explain text spoofing? Harold asked. Text spoofing services allow someone to send text messages that appear to come from any phone number. The recipient sees the spoofed number, but the message doesn't actually originate from that number. In this case, someone used a spoofing service to send messages to Mrs. Leroy's phone that appeared to come from Mr. Brennan's number. Harold presented technical documents, printouts of metadata, explanations of how the spoofing worked. It was clear, irrefutable evidence. The texts were fake. Patricia jumped up. Objection. Even if those texts were spoofed, there's no proof Mrs. Leroy created them. Anyone could have done it. This doesn't prove anything about her intent or Mr. Brennan's competency. Judge Winters frowned. Overruled. Continue. But Patricia had a point. We proved the texts were fake, but not definitively that Amanda made them. It was still circumstantial. Harold presented more evidence. The credit card company's fraud investigation records, documentation of the bank fraud attempt, the canceled vacation that was never taken. But Patricia kept arguing. All of this could be explained by confusion, by misunderstandings. The real issue is whether Mr. Brennan is competent to manage his affairs. The answer is clearly no. He's made false accusations, alienated his family, exhibits paranoia and poor judgment. Judge Winters looked at both sides. I'm going to adjourn this hearing until tomorrow morning. I need time to review all this evidence thoroughly. Court is adjourned until 9 a.m. tomorrow. We filed out. I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. We had proven the texts were fake, but the judge seemed unconvinced about the rest. That night, Harold called me at home. Don't lose hope. I've been digging and I found something. Amanda has done this before. What? 6 years ago, in Arizona, before she married your son, an elderly woman named Dorothy Franklin sued Amanda for financial exploitation. The case was settled out of court with sealed records, but I found references in public databases. I contacted Mrs. Franklin's attorney. He can't give me details due to confidentiality, but he confirmed Amanda was accused of stealing credit cards and forging documents. The victim didn't want to go through a trial, so they settled. Amanda avoided criminal charges. Can we use this? I've filed a motion to introduce it as evidence of pattern behavior. The hearing is at 9. Get some rest. Tomorrow we finish this. I did not sleep at all that night. Tuesday morning, I was back in that courtroom at 8:45, wearing the same suit. my hands shaking slightly as I sipped terrible courthouse coffee. Harold looked focused, determined. He had 3 thick folders of documents spread on our table. Marcus and Amanda arrived at 8:50. Amanda still wore modest clothing, but her face looked drawn, stressed. She kept whispering urgently to Patricia. Judge Winters took the bench at 9 sharp. "Mr. Brennan, you filed a late motion to introduce additional evidence. Explain." Harold stood. "Your Honor, we've discovered that Mrs. Amanda Leroy has a history of financial exploitation of elderly individuals. 6 years ago, she was sued in Arizona for nearly identical behavior." Patricia exploded. "Objection! This is character assassination. Whatever happened in Arizona is irrelevant to this case and inadmissible." Judge Winters held up her hand. "I'll allow limited testimony to establish pattern, but counsel, tread carefully." Harold called the Arizona attorney via video conference. Gerald Pearson appeared on the courtroom screen, an older man with white hair and a kind face. "Mr. Pearson, did you represent a woman named Dorothy Franklin in a civil case against Amanda Leroy?" "I did, yes." "What was the nature of that case?" "Due to confidentiality agreements, I can't discuss details, but I can confirm that Mrs. Franklin accused Miss Leroy of financial exploitation, specifically theft of credit cards and forging financial documents. There was substantial evidence supporting these claims. The case was settled out of court for a significant sum. Miss Leroy avoided criminal charges only because Mrs. Franklin, who was 83 at the time and in poor health, didn't want to endure a criminal trial." Amanda's hands gripped the table edge. Marcus stared at her, shock written across his face. Harold continued, "In your professional opinion, did the evidence suggest Mrs. Leroy deliberately targeted Mrs. Franklin?" "Yes. The evidence showed a pattern of manipulation, gaining trust, then exploiting that trust for financial gain." Patricia objected repeatedly, but Judge Winters allowed the testimony. When the video call ended, the courtroom felt electric with tension. Harold then presented another surprise. "Your Honor, I have security footage from Prestige Jewelers, one of the stores where Mrs. Leroy made purchases with Mr. Brennan's credit card." The courtroom lights dimmed slightly as footage played on the screen. There was Amanda, clear as day, at the jewelry counter. The timestamp matched the credit card statement. The audio was surprisingly clear. "My father-in-law is loaded." Amanda's voice came through the speakers. "He won't even notice. I deserve this." The sales associate's uncomfortable laugh. Amanda continued, trying on a necklace. "He's old. Won't be around much longer anyway. Might as well enjoy his money now." The courtroom was dead silent. Marcus's face had gone white. Amanda stared at the screen in horror. The footage continued. Amanda asked for the most expensive pieces, acted entitled and callous, laughed about spending the old man's money. When the footage ended, Judge Winters looked at Amanda with barely concealed disgust. Patricia tried to recover. "Your Honor, this footage is taken out of context. Mrs. Leroy may have been speaking in jest, or—" "Enough," Judge Winters said coldly. "Continue, Mr. Brennan." Harold walked to our table and picked up his final folder. This was the moment we had been building toward. "Your Honor, there's one more critical piece of evidence. The credit card Mrs. Leroy used was not Mr. Brennan's current card. It was a card he had reported lost 2 months earlier. He presented documentation: the lost card report from March, the replacement card issued, bank records showing the old card was never canceled but remained linked to the account. Mr. Brennan kept the old card in his wallet, intending to destroy it but forgetting. When Mrs. Leroy stole it, she was using a card she had no legitimate reason to possess. This was not a case of a confused man forgetting permission. This was deliberate theft." Harold's voice grew stronger. "But here's what Mrs. Leroy didn't know. That old card was still linked to Mr. Brennan's account with enhanced fraud monitoring. Every purchase sent automatic alerts to Mr. Brennan's email and to the credit card company's fraud department. The credit card company flagged the account for investigation immediately. He presented email chains between me and the fraud department, documentation of their investigation, official letters from the card company confirming fraud had occurred. Mrs. Leroy didn't just steal from family, Your Honor. She committed federal credit card fraud. And the Federal Bureau of Investigation has been investigating this case since Mr. W. Brennan filed his police report. On cue, the courtroom doors opened. 2 people in dark suits entered, a man and a woman, both carrying FBI credentials. Patricia looked panicked. Judge Winters sat forward. The male agent spoke. "Your Honor, I'm Special Agent David Morton, and this is Special Agent Lisa Chen from the FBI. We've been investigating Mrs. Amanda Leroy for credit card fraud, wire fraud, and identity theft. We have warrants for her arrest." Amanda started crying. No, this is wrong. I didn't." "Mrs. Leroy," Agent Morton said, walking toward her, "you're under arrest for violations of federal law, including credit card fraud, under 18 U.S.C. Section 1029, wire fraud under 18 U.S.C. Section 1343, and aggravated identity theft. You have the right to remain silent." The courtroom erupted. Patricia was arguing with the agents, trying to protect her client. Marcus sat frozen, his face buried in his hands. Amanda was sobbing, mascara running, all her composure gone. Judge Winters banged her gavel. "Order! Everyone calm down!" The agents handcuffed Amanda. The modest daughter-in-law image was gone. Now she looked exactly like what she was, a con artist caught in her own trap. Agent Morton addressed the court. "Your Honor, in addition to the credit card fraud, our investigation revealed Mrs. Leroy purchased refundable airline tickets and hotel reservations totaling nearly $15,000, then canceled them and pocketed the refunds using a separate debit card. She never went to Hawaii. The beach photos she posted on social media were stolen from a friend's old vacation photos. She committed wire fraud and theft by deception on top of the credit card fraud." Judge Winters looked at Patricia. "Does your client have anything to say?" Patricia whispered urgently with Amanda, who shook her head, still crying. "No, Your Honor," Patricia said quietly. "We invoke our Fifth Amendment right." Judge Winters turned to Harold and me. "Mr. Brennan, I'm denying the petition for guardianship. Mr. Leroy is clearly competent and has been the victim of a sophisticated fraud. I'm ordering a full investigation into how this petition was filed, and I'll be referring Mrs. Leroy and her attorney to the State Bar for filing a frivolous and malicious legal action. Court is adjourned." The gavel came down. The agents led Amanda out in handcuffs. She was still crying, trying to look back at Marcus, saying, "Baby, please help me, this isn't what it looks like." But Marcus just sat there, staring at nothing. I stood on shaking legs. Harold shook my hand. "We did it." I couldn't speak. 3 weeks of hell, and finally, justice. As we walked out of the courtroom, Patricia hurried past without looking at us. Marcus sat alone at the defendant's table, his whole world shattered. Part of me felt sorry for him, but mostly, I just felt tired. The days following the hearing passed in a blur. The FBI's investigation moved quickly. Amanda was indicted on multiple federal charges: credit card fraud, wire fraud, identity theft, filing false documents. The evidence was overwhelming. Security footage, digital forensics, bank records, phone metadata, the Arizona case history. She had no defense. Her attorney advised her to plead guilty. 2 months after her arrest, Amanda stood in federal court and admitted to everything. The judge sentenced her to 4 years in federal prison, followed by 5 years of supervised probation. She was also ordered to pay full restitution, $45,000 in fraudulent charges plus my legal fees, which totaled another $12,000. The credit card company, as part of their fraud investigation, covered my initial losses, so technically I got made whole twice. I donated the extra money to an elder abuse prevention charity. Amanda tried every excuse. Her lawyer argued she had mental health issues, that Marcus had pressured her to maintain a lifestyle they could not afford, that she felt desperate. None of it mattered. The judge saw through it all. "Mrs. Leroy," the judge said at sentencing, "you committed a calculated, premeditated fraud against a vulnerable family member. You then attempted to destroy his reputation and freedom to cover your crimes. You showed no remorse until you were caught. 4 years is the minimum I can give you under federal guidelines. You should be grateful it's not more." Amanda cried throughout. Marcus was not in the courtroom. By then, he had filed for divorce. 3 days after Amanda's arrest, Marcus showed up at my house. It was a Thursday evening, around 7 o'clock. I was making dinner, chicken and rice, nothing fancy. When I heard his truck in the driveway, my chest tightened. I was not sure I was ready for this conversation. He knocked softly. I opened the door. He looked terrible. His face was pale, his eyes red and swollen, like he had been crying for days. He had lost weight. He wore the same flannel shirt he had worn to court, wrinkled now, like he had been sleeping in it. "Dad," he said, his voice cracking. "Can I come in?" I stepped aside. He walked into my living room, the same room where he had grown up, where he had played with his toys, where Sarah and I had helped him with homework at that coffee table. He stood there looking lost. "Sit down," I said. We sat on opposite ends of the couch. Silence stretched between us for a long minute. "Dad, I'm so sorry," Marcus finally said. And then he broke down completely. His shoulders shook as he sobbed. "I chose her over you. My own father. You were telling the truth. And I called you crazy. I let her destroy you. I'm so sorry." I did not say anything. Let him get it out. "She manipulated me for years," he continued through tears. "I see it now. She isolated me from my friends. She controlled our money. She made me think you were losing your mind. I believed her over you. How could I do that?" "You loved her," I said quietly. "Love makes us blind sometimes. That's no excuse. You raised me. You taught me right from wrong. And when it mattered, I abandoned you." We sat there, the weight of betrayal heavy in the room. Marcus wiped his eyes with his sleeve. "Are the girls okay?" I asked. "They're confused. They keep asking where Mommy is. I told them Mommy made bad choices and has to go away for a while. Emma cried for hours. Grace just gets really quiet. I don't know what I'm doing, Dad. I'm failing them." "You're doing the best you can. That's all anyone can do." I moved out. Got a 2-bedroom apartment near the elementary school they'll start next year. I'm filing for divorce. Full custody. Amanda's lawyer said she won't fight it. That's good. Is it? I'm a single father now. I work 60 hours a week. How am I supposed to raise twin girls alone? I looked at my son, broken and humbled, finally seeing clearly. Despite everything, he was still my son. "You're not alone," I said. "You've got me. If you want my help." Marcus looked up, hope and shame mixed in his expression. "You'd still help me? After what I did? You're my son. I love you. But Marcus, listen to me. You broke my trust. That doesn't heal overnight. You're going to have to rebuild it, brick by brick. That takes time. I know. I'll do whatever it takes. First thing, we're both going to family counseling. I already found a therapist who specializes in family reconciliation. We have our first appointment next Tuesday." Marcus nodded eagerly. "Yes. Absolutely. Whatever you want." Second, you're going to spend time really being a father to those girls. No more 60-hour work weeks. They need you present, not just providing. I'll cut back. I'll figure it out. Third, you're going to be honest with me from now on. No more secrets, no more lies. If something's wrong, you tell me. If you're struggling, you tell me. We're family, but that only works if we're honest. "I promise, Dad." "I swear." We sat in silence for a while longer. Then Marcus asked, "Can I bring the girls by this weekend? They miss their grandpa." Despite everything, I smiled. "I'd like that." He left a little while later. As I watched his truck pull away, I felt something shift. Not forgiveness, not yet. But maybe the beginning of healing. Over the next 6 months, Marcus and I rebuilt our relationship slowly. We had weekly dinners, always at my house, always with Emma and Grace present. The girls were the glue that held us together. Their laughter filled my house again, their sticky fingerprints on my windows, their toys scattered across my living room floor. Marcus attended every counseling session. He worked on himself, admitted his mistakes, took responsibility. He cut back his work hours, hired a part-time nanny to help with the girls, focused on being present. He was becoming the man I had raised him to be. One Saturday afternoon, about 7 months after the trial, Marcus and the girls came over for a barbecue. I was grilling burgers in my backyard while the girls played on the old swing set I had put up when Marcus was a boy. Marcus stood next to me, holding a beer, watching his daughters. "Dad," he said quietly, "I need to tell you something." "What's that?" "Amanda's been writing me letters from prison, trying to manipulate me again, claiming she's changed, asking for another chance." My jaw tightened. "What did you tell her?" "I told her lawyer to stop forwarding them. I'm done. The divorce is final next month. I'm moving on." "Good. But I wanted you to know. No more secrets, right?" "Right." We watched the girls swing higher, their laughter carrying on the summer breeze. "Thank you, Dad," Marcus said, "for not giving up on me. You're my son. I never will." Life slowly returned to normal, or a new version of normal. My reputation in the community was restored. Family and friends who had doubted me apologized. My sister Janet felt terrible about suggesting I might have dementia, and now called me twice a week just to check in. The Adult Protective Services investigation was closed, with a finding that the report against me had been false and malicious. Stephanie Morrison, the caseworker, actually apologized to me personally. "I'm sorry we put you through that," she said. "But I'm glad the truth came out. Cases like yours help us recognize these patterns in the future." I started volunteering with an elder abuse prevention program, telling my story at community centers and senior centers. I spoke about warning signs, about how abusers often target family members, about the importance of documentation and seeking help. If my nightmare could prevent someone else from going through the same thing, then maybe it was not entirely in vain. One evening, almost a year after Amanda's sentencing, I sat in my backyard watching the sunset. Emma and Grace were spending the weekend with me. They were inside watching a cartoon, their giggles floating through the open window. I thought about everything that had happened. How close I came to losing everything. My freedom, my money, my family, my dignity. How Amanda's greed had nearly destroyed all of us. But I also thought about what I had learned. Trust is precious. It should be earned, not freely given, even within family. I had been too trusting, too willing to overlook warning signs because I wanted to believe the best in people. Standing up for truth matters, even when everyone doubts you. There were days when I felt completely alone, when every voice told me I was wrong, when even my own sister questioned my sanity. But I knew the truth, and I refused to back down. That stubbornness saved me. Documentation is crucial. My careful record-keeping, saving every email, every bank statement, every piece of evidence, made all the difference. Without that paper trail, Amanda might have won. The legal system is slow, but it can work. Justice took weeks of stress and thousands of dollars in legal fees, but eventually, the truth came out. Patience and persistence paid off. Forgiveness is possible, but it requires accountability. I was slowly forgiving Marcus, but only because he took full responsibility for his actions, worked to change, and proved through his behavior that he meant his apologies. Forgiveness without accountability is just enabling. Greed destroys everything it touches. Amanda had a loving husband, beautiful children, a supportive extended family. She threw it all away for jewelry and money. Now she sits in a prison cell, having lost everything that matters. Greed hollowed her out from the inside until there was nothing left but emptiness. The screen door opened. Emma ran out, her blonde pigtails bouncing. "Grandpa, push me on the swing!" I smiled, stood up, walked over to the old swing set. As I pushed her gently, listening to her delighted squeals, I felt peace settle over me. Despite everything, despite the pain and betrayal and the long nightmare of those weeks, I had found my way back to what really mattered. Family is not just blood, it's trust, respect, and choosing to do right by each other every single day. Marcus appeared in the doorway, holding Grace's hand. "Girls, 5 more minutes, then we need to get ready for bed." "Aw," both girls groaned in unison. I laughed. Marcus smiled at me, genuine warmth in his eyes for the first time in months. Later, after the girls were asleep in the guest room that had once been Marcus's childhood bedroom, Marcus and I sat on the porch with coffee. "Dad, can I ask you something?" "Always." "How did you do it? How did you stay strong when everyone thought you were crazy?" I considered the question. I knew the truth. And sometimes, knowing the truth is enough, even when you're the only one who knows it. The truth doesn't need everyone's approval to be real. Marcus nodded slowly. "I should have known it too. I should have believed you. You're believing me now. That's what counts." We sat in comfortable silence, the night crickets chirping, the stars bright overhead. "I'm proud of you," I said eventually. "You made a mistake, a big one, but you owned it. You're working to fix it. That takes courage." Marcus's eyes got misty. "Thanks, Dad. Some people will take everything you have if you let them. Amanda taught me that. But standing firm on the truth, even when it costs you everything temporarily, is the only way to build a life worth living. Justice may be slow, but it's real. And family bonds, when broken by betrayal, can sometimes be mended, but only through honesty, accountability, and time. The greatest gift you can give yourself is the courage to say no when someone crosses the line, even if that someone is family. Setting boundaries is not cruelty, it's self-preservation, it's wisdom. I learned all this the hard way, but I learned it. As I sit here now, 18 months after that terrible day when I discovered the charges on my credit card, I can say I'm grateful for what I've gained, even though I wish I had never had to go through it. I'm stronger, I'm wiser, I'm more careful but not cynical. And I have my son back, the real Marcus, not the manipulated version Amanda created. My granddaughters are thriving. Emma starts kindergarten next fall and can already read simple books. Grace is obsessed with dinosaurs and can name 47 different species. They bring joy into my life every single day. Amanda will be in prison for another 2.5 years. I don't think about her much anymore. She made her choices, and now she lives with the consequences. I heard through the grapevine that she's trying to claim she's found religion in prison, that she's a changed woman. Maybe she has. Maybe not. Either way, it's not my concern anymore. I rebuilt my life on truth instead of blind trust. And that, I've learned, is its own kind of victory. The stars are bright tonight. The same stars Sarah and I used to watch from this porch. I miss her every day, but I think she'd be proud of how I handled this. She always said I was stronger than I gave myself credit for. She was right. Tomorrow, Marcus and the girls are coming over again. We're going to plant a vegetable garden in the backyard, something the girls have been begging to do. They want to grow tomatoes and carrots. I'm going to teach them how to work the soil, how to water carefully, how to be patient and wait for things to grow. It seems like a good metaphor for what we're all doing now. Planting new seeds, tending them carefully, waiting patiently for growth, building something healthy and real. Life is good again, different than before, marked by scars and hard-earned wisdom, but good, and that's enough. So let me ask you this. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted? How did you find the strength to stand up for the truth when everyone doubted you? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might help someone else who's going through something similar. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more stories about resilience, justice, and family. Share this with someone who might need to hear it, someone who's facing their own battles and needs to know they're not alone. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminds you that truth matters, that justice is possible, and that even broken relationships can heal if everyone is willing to do the work. Stay strong, protect yourselves, and never be afraid to stand up for what's right, even when it's hard. Until next time.